Well, hello and welcome back to Behind the Barn Door here at the Barn Theatre in Cirencester. I'm Dr Dawn and I've got a super exciting afternoon this afternoon because I've got my dear, dear friend, Dr Pixie McKenna from Embarrassing Bodies. So we'll be going for a little wander down memory trail, and we may even have Dr Christian joining us later. So we're hoping he's going to join us. He's not with us just yet, but Pix, it's all about you and me for now.
He's fashionably late. Fashionably late.
Do you remember when we used to do the photo shoots for each new series, and you would get in from Cambridge? They were always in central London, and we used to tease him that you would get in from Cambridge and I would get in from the Cotswolds, and it took him twice as long to get across Westminster Bridge Road.
Exactly. And he'd spent twice the length of time in makeup. Oh my gosh,
some things never change, hey?
I know, gosh.
Well, listen, how are you? How's lockdown?
It's fine. You know, I find it really hard to keep track of the time and the day and everything. And I can't believe we're like 55 days now. I'm not home from work 55 days, but you know, I'm home from work probably 45 days. I find it incredible. I was speaking to someone the other day and I said, oh, well, that'll probably, you know, happen in about 3 or 4 weeks. Now, normally someone tells me wait 3 or 4 weeks or something. I go, and actually 3 or 4 weeks is like saying, wait, can you wait 3 hours? Everything is different. The whole time scale is different. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying obviously being at home with the family. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying being outdoors. I'm enjoying not getting up at 5:15 in the morning to go into London to work, liking that. I'm doing a lot of running. I'm doing a lot of eating, in the garden. So I honestly can't complain. Still working. So doing video consultations and, you know, telephone consultations. I'm going to go into the office this week now for the first time in 7 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's good. And every day I get up and I say, how lucky am I? All my family is healthy. I've got something to do. I can walk outdoors. At the moment, that's all really we can be grateful for.
I know. It does make you recalibrate, I think, actually. I mean, because you and I live out of London, a lot of the media stuff that we do is London-centric, and I spend an awful lot of time travelling up and down on the train or in cars up to London. You know, sometimes just for a half-hour meeting or you know, a 10-minute slot on a sofa for a daytime telly show or something, and you think, actually, I hope that the new normal does retain some of this slightly slower pace, because, I mean, my carbon footprint is a fraction of what it used to be.
Oh, I know. It's incredible. And I think also that sort of compulsion to be looking at the clock and what are we doing? You know, anyone who commutes is, you know, I'm like down to the last 90 seconds. If I go into the station and I see someone I know, I'm going, don't talk to me. You know, I'm on the clock here. I'm on that train. Go away. And, you know, every minute of the day is allocated for something, whereas now it's like, what am I going to do now? You know, if you're not working, and if I'm not working on a day, I'm like, I don't really even know what day of the week it is. It's great. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to be like in September and October when reality bites.
Yeah. So you've kept up the running, have you? Because I knew you were training for the marathon, but you've kept it up.
I was really bad. I have had the start of this year. I was just busy and there was a lot going on. And for the first 3 months of this year, 2 months of this year, I wasn't really very good. I didn't hit January like everybody else, being incredibly healthy in terms of fitness. And then once this lockdown started, I was like, I do not want a corona belly. I was going, I said, I have to do something because I have to have some kind of a routine. And I was saying to a patient the other day, I said, if you want to run, right, have your running gear in your bedroom. Get up in the morning. I know it's disgusting, but don't brush your teeth. Don't put your deodorant on. Don't do anything. Go straight from bed into your running gear and get out the door. It's the only way you will do it because there are so many reasons to put it off. So, yes, I've been enjoying it. And, you know, the weather's lovely. I mean, today was too hot for me for running, but I went out and, you know, really murdered myself in the sun. But, I'm really enjoying it. It gives me something to do.
And how far do you go?
I was trying at the start of lockdown. I started and I was doing 3 miles a day, 3 miles, 6 days a week. And then every week I put it up. So I got up to 7 miles. And then rather embarrassingly, so I was doing 7 miles, 6 days a week. I pulled a muscle in my bum. I had to go, I know. And I was going, what muscle is that? What have I done? So I had to go right back down again. So I'm just doing 5 miles a day, 6 days a week. That's my...
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. And it keeps me, not necessarily keeping the corona belly at bay, but it keeps my head sane, and it just gives me something to do, a little bit of a focus. And so, yeah, normally do that, then come in and have to have Darcy at home school at 8:45.
Excellent. So who's doing the homeschooling, you or Mitch, or are you taking it in turn?
Oh, me. I mean, he has no patience, so I'm doing the homeschooling. But I can't. I'm trying to do things like fractions and stuff like that, and I can't remember anything.
Yeah, crikey.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I was okay with my kids at GCSE, but once they started into A-level, I was kind of thinking, I'm sure I knew this once, but I can't remember it now.
Gosh, Dawn, this is year 3.
How old is Darcy?
8.
8.
So
right, good.
So I'm going to have to definitely get help.
God, do you know, I was just thinking, so 8 years ago, because I remember when you were pregnant with Darcy, because it was around about the time of Zika virus, I think, and we were doing a lot of Embarrassing Bodies filming, and I got to go to Thailand, and Christian got to go to Ibiza, and I think they sent you to Skegness.
Yeah, I wasn't allowed to go anywhere. I was grounded. Yeah, I know. And then, it used to be funny, actually, because you get the occasional comment on the films and as Embarrassing Bodies was shot, and I got bigger and bigger, saying, "Oh, God, she ate all the pies, and look at her." Besides,
what, they didn't realise that you were pregnant?
I'm pregnant. And then suddenly, oh, it's a baby. Yeah, that's what the big belly.
Gosh, that was 8 years.
I know.
Ago.
It was 8 years ago. Yeah. Crazy. I know, crazy times. It's crazy times.
Well, I think it was 13 years ago we did our first day's filming. I remember being, because I did the first pilot with 2 other doctors that the channel didn't like. And I remember Colette ringing me up and saying, now, we've got these 2 new doctors, and we want you to come up to London and meet them. And I remember thinking, oh, gosh, I've got to go all the way to London to meet some telly lovey. Do you remember? We had such a blast. I nearly missed my last train.
That's right. We had too much fun. We should have known then. Gosh, we should have known.
That was 13 years ago.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Do you still get, I mean, I've got this sort of, I think it was Christian who first described it to me. He called it Embarrassing Bodies cocktail hearing. Do you still find it doesn't matter what else you've done, it's Embarrassing Bodies that people always comment on?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And sometimes, you get that thing. I mean, I still get it with patients who would come in and they're looking at you and you're having a conversation with them, but they're not listening to you. They're looking at you. And then they say, is it really you? So we spend the first 10 minutes just looking at me to see if it was really me. Yeah, it's really me. It's really me. It's funny. I know, it's funny.
Is it you?
It's strange.
It's like a lot of that. Is it you?
But I suppose it was very of the time, wasn't it? It was a very different thing that came out that nobody else was doing, and telly was a massive thing then.
I remember because the first series was Embarrassing Illnesses, wasn't it? And it was only half-hour shows. And do you remember we did all that filming, and then the morning after the first show went out on air, and it got some really good reviews and so on. And do you remember the crew then saying to us, "Phew, that's really good, because actually if it had bombed, we were going to pull it the whole thing." And then nobody said anything to us about it at all before then. And then we. Right, so we didn't know this was going to be good then. We had a plan B that was going to be basically putting the 3 of us in a bin and never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again. But I think that's it's the thing that I always found quite funny about, I suppose, the whole media world versus the whole medical world, is in telly, everyone's fabulous. You're fabulous, you're fantastic, you're fabulous, you're amazing, you're amazing, you're amazing. Following day, you're dead to me. Next. Whereas in medicine, nobody ever tells you if you're you'd want to be the most amazing, brain surgeon, life-saving, whatever, genius scientist to be told you're even okay.
Yeah.
Praise is not dished out, is it?
No, it's not.
In the profession. No. It's dished out by patients who are very kind, very gracious and say wonderful things, but actually by colleagues. Or certainly seniors, you'd never be told you were fabulous. And the danger is, I think, in telly that after a while you start thinking you're fabulous until you come home and you get told to take your, false eyelashes off and go and put the bins out.
Yep, yep. Yes, yeah, that's back to reality. When did you audition? Did you go to Euston, to the offices for your audition?
I think I did the same audition as you. I think we did the same thing. Do you remember, we had this conversation before, you and I auditioned for a show for Channel 4 prior to Embarrassing Bodies, and we didn't get it.
Yes, yes.
We were put in the scrap heap.
Yeah, wanted. Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that. Yeah.
Isn't it funny?
Honestly, I say I remember my audition so clearly, Pix, because it was weather like this. It must have been June time, and it's relevant what I was wearing. I was wearing a kind of below the knee sort of black and white polka dot skirt and a little black.
Not like you.
No, none of your short skirts. I wasn't in my trolley dolly kit. It was very, very, demure, and I jumped out of Euston and went to get into a cab to go to Paddington to get back out to the West Country. And the cabbie said, where are you going, darling? So I said, Paddington, please. He said, oh, you don't live here then? I said, no, I'm just up for the day. He said, are you here for work or pleasure? I said, oh, I'm here for work. And he said, what do you do? And people have always said to me, you don't look like a doctor. I'm not twin set and pearls, I guess. And I don't know what made me say it, but I said, oh, you'll never guess what I do. And I kid you not, Pix, he didn't draw a breath before he said, are you a high-class hooker? And all the way home, I kept thinking, well, you did say high class. Oh, I'll tell you honestly, that's one interview I will never, ever forget.
Oh, God. That's funny. But it is funny, isn't it, when you get into taxis, actually. Certainly in the height of EB, I found that that was the one place you were always asked questions. Mm. It was always, you're in the back of a black cab and it's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. What about this? What about my mother-in-law? What about blah, 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 blah. It's funny, very funny. Taxi is very funny in the whole EB thing.
I do remember doing a whole train journey up to Paddington. This dear lady telling me every intricate detail about her hysterectomy. And then on the journey back, I sat next to somebody who spent the entire journey talking about Christian's biceps. I thought, I should go back to the hysterectomy.
Dawn, we were always the bridesmaid, never the bride. I think that was us.
What I always found amazing is, we used to do all those photo shoots for each new series. They'd do another photo shoot, and it didn't matter what colour you wore or I wore. Christian would have half a dozen shirts, and you could guarantee that one of them would have both of our colours in it. It was just spooky.
He had like 150 shirts or something like that, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he was sort of sponsored by Jeeves and Hawkes for a while. I think. Was it Jeeves?
Yeah,
and Hawkes?
he had. Oh gosh! And then when we did the first series, you remember? You and I were made wear the same clothes for 6 weeks. Yes. We had to take our tops, wash them in the hotel, and wear them the following day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Gosh.
Ghastly.
That was like,
Ghastly,
what's your favourite truck stop from EB? I think mine was...
oh my...
Actually, Cardiff was fun. Cardiff was fun, apart from when do you remember they had to pay quite a lot of money to park the truck in the centre of Cardiff? And they hadn't quite warned them that the Hare Krishnas were doing their parade. Do you remember?
Oh, no.
Every hour they would come back round and we'd have to stop filming because they were their tambourines. Gosh.
I enjoyed Doncaster. Was it Doncaster or was it, was it Doncaster? Somewhere we went and it was a complete disaster. Wherever we were meant to have our truck, we couldn't have it and it had to be moved. Stockton-on-Tees.
Oh, I don't think I did
that. Or Doncaster.
I don't think I did that.
I can't remember. And we got the most amazing contributors. It was one of my, we got amazing people just literally just walked up. It was like, wow, where are all these people coming from? And that was the show on which the lady came and said she'd been giving herself coffee enemas.
Oh, yes.
And it was just coffee enemas for her irritable bowel syndrome. And that she had started with expensive coffee, percolated coffee that she had bought in a coffee shop. And now she was on sort of Tesco's own brand coffee because, she said it was getting too expensive. And she was doing these enemas every day. and she was washing the thing in the dishwasher. Oh, honestly, it was just unbelievable, unbelievable. Coffee enemas.
That's your shocking moment. Mine was the guy in Weymouth who he actually came, and I can't remember what the presenting problem that he came into the gazebo. We had the gazebo on the beach in Weymouth, and he came in with something or other, and off he went, and he came back a couple of hours later and said he wanted to show me something else. You know, they always have to fill a consent form in and so.
Yeah.
And I called the crew over to say, you know, can we fill in another form for this chap? And he went, no, it's here. And he lifted his T-shirt up, and on his shoulder, he'd gone off and he'd had a tattoo of the embarrassment.
Oh, that's logo. Right.
I couldn't believe it.
I wonder what if he still has it.
Well, presumably. I mean, you know.
Shout out for that man. Identify yourself. Are you a true fan? Have you got the tattoo?
I remember saying to him, you know, people have always asked me what's shocking on the show, and of course it's not, is it? Because it's what we do day in, day out. But actually, you've just shocked me. Yeah, somebody out there with a new tattoo.
That is mad, isn't it? Gosh.
Crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely crazy.
That is funny.
Mad times. It was good times though, actually. And as far as I know, it's not been recommissioned, but it's not been decommissioned either, I don't think. So who knows?
Well, we have a really interesting thing that happens in my office in London is I will sometimes go in on a Monday morning and there will be a load of emails and stuff. And I've gone, okay, Embarrassing Bodies is on some channel somewhere, or, you know, and people ring up and they say, you know, that time she saw this, and I can't remember. Some of these things are like 12 years ago. I can't remember it.
Well, we made over 100 shows, didn't we? So, I mean, there's a lot of content there.
But you know, some of the recycled shows, and you look back and some of our makeup was a bit like Bananarama, and some of our I mean, you got to laugh.
Do you know, I remember very clearly coming back one day in that particular, what you called the Bananarama years. And, you know, the family were used to seeing me in telly makeup at that stage, I guess. But I should have known then that this was going to look a bit iffy on camera, because I walked into the kitchen and the entire family went...
Oh, no.
I think they said I didn't look like Coco the Clown, I looked like Coco the Clown in drag.
Oh, no. Yeah, some of those early ones were very funny. Oh, my goodness. What a laugh. But, you know, it's funny. This whole lockdown time, I think there'll be a load of people who have all those kind of embarrassing ailments who definitely aren't going forward to their GPs. You know, it's the perfect excuse, isn't it, not to get treated and not to go and say, look, I've got bleeding, or I've got a lump here, I've got a bump here, which is slightly terrifying. I think we're going to see a whole spiral of major problems as we come out of this.
We're really aware that we're not seeing it at all. And I think, you know, when lockdown first happened, the kind of stay-at-home message was so strong that people literally did just keep away from us. Because my surgery door is physically locked, so people can't just walk in like they would do before. They've got to come through a telephone system to speak to us, and we really are trying to minimise footfall, but we're very aware that we're not seeing all the sorts of stuff that we should be. You know, that's a real worry. And I think sometimes people are scared of coming in as well. They're frightened as well now in case they're going into a place that might have had coronavirus in it, you know, so... But good old EB. I mean, apparently it's sold to 120 countries. Just imagine if we had repeat money, Pix, where we would be retiring.
I'd be retiring, just lying. I'd be taking this call, Dawn, from the Bahamas or something. There is the dubbed version of it initially, because it's quite popular in Italy. One of my Italian patients said to me, "You've got to do something about your voice in Italian. It's terrible."
Oh, really?
Yeah, thanks very much.
Actually, a girlfriend of mine went to Sweden with her son for some school's football tournament a few years ago, and she texted me and said, "Dawn, you're in my hotel room going flimdy."
Oh, no way! Yeah. How funny! And we never see any of these. It's hilarious.
No.
Gosh.
No. What's the weirdest place you've been recognised then?
Oh my goodness! The weirdest place. The weirdest place. Gosh, I've never thought about that.
No, it's just only because I remember being in great big sort of posh spice sunglasses and my hair up in the Kruger National Park Airport, which is about the size of your kitchen probably. And this lovely guy came up to me. I mean, honestly, my hair's up, big sunglasses, you were just completely out of context. And he said, excuse me, he said, are you Dr. Dawn off the telly? He said, my wife loves you, can I have a selfie? This huge guy.
How funny.
Yeah, in this random little airport.
That's amazing.
Mm.
I don't, yeah, isn't it funny how, I suppose you see people, it's weird, isn't it? Because you see people and when you see them out of context, the same as if you see a patient, if I see a patient and I'm walking down the street, I'm like looking at them and going, do I know you? Are you famous? Do I know you? Are you a friend of a friend of mine? You know, so you just say hi. And then 2 minutes later you go, that's who it is. So I guess it's those people who go, oh, shall I go back and get a selfie or shall I go back and ask a question? Ireland is particularly funny because, so everybody knows everyone else in Ireland. And obviously people watched Embarrassing Bodies in Ireland. Then I did another several series of a similar show called You Should Really See a Doctor. But it wasn't as racy as Embarrassing Bodies. There was no, you know, there was a lot, it was tame.
Most things are by comparison.
The Irish people are hilarious. I mean, they're in the supermarket and they're looking at you when we go to West Cork on our holidays, and they're looking and they're going, what are you eating? What are you doing here? And I'm like going, I've been coming here for 25 years, you know, but they're like, you're from outer space. And then they will literally tell you their medical problems. There's no, would you mind? There's like straight down. It's like, oh, here's the doctor. Look, there's the doctor. Do you have anything to ask the doctor? I'm like going, I'm on my holidays. I'm in the supermarket. It's bizarre. It's really bizarre.
Didn't you have a patient who thought that Pixie McKenna was your sister or something? Didn't you have a...
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That sometimes happens because my official general medical counsel name is Bernadette. Sometimes people think I'm a sister or a relation of Pixie. And somebody came into my brother and said, oh, so your sister, you've got your sister who's a GP, Bernadette. And then there's that other sister on the telly. And he just said, yeah, I know. There's no point. What's the point in trying to explain the story that actually her name is Pixie? She was called after the dog. She was christened Bernadette. It's a big, long story.
So,
you know,
so they just think
it's a big, long story. Yeah, it's easier. It's far easier. Honestly, it's far easier. Yeah, far easier. But happy days. And you know what? I learned a lot of medicine, I think, from it. I learned a lot of, because there was a lot of weird and wonderful stuff that you mightn't really see as mainstream general practice, or people mightn't come to you.
I think certainly, and I've often said this to people when we chat about it, is that as the show got more and more successful and we got, you know, the best people in the country volunteering their services for us, I don't know about you, but I found that I really had to start being on my mettle, because quite often you'd see people who'd probably seen several doctors already and not got the treatment that they were really looking for. And that kind of, you know, I kind of understood as well why they would be prepared to come on the show, because they would go off and have maybe a procedure that wasn't available on the NHS, or just maybe going to see somebody who is, you know, the best person in the country. But yeah, it did tax us a bit towards the end. Yeah,
you sort of had to, you're absolutely right. And, you know, because they've seen so many people and they've researched the subject matter in great detail. And, you know, in fact, very often, are you losing me?
Oh, no, you're back. You're back.
You're back?
Yep, you're back.
So. Yeah, so they were all, I think people were, it's funny, as is the case with you, I'm certain that when people ask that question, well, why, you're so embarrassed, why would you go on the show? You know, but of course, I think back then, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whenever it was, I can understand that concept. But now, I mean, people are putting, you know, people put everything on Instagram and Twitter, and, you know, it was a brave thing, I think, for people to do at the very start. And let's face it, you know, without those amazing contributors, there would have been no show. I mean, they made the show.
Oh, yeah.
We just sat there and And at some point, after about 9 years, when they gave us the right makeup, looked a little bit pretty. But, you know, we just did what we do on a day-to-day basis in the surgery, but with a lot more glamour.
And I think the other thing people don't...
So no, go on.
I think the other thing people don't realise is, of course, you know, each case has got, 2 or 3 minutes of airtime, but they might have spent 2 hours with us. So it's kind of, you know, it was a very different experience for the patient, I think.
I think it was a massively different experience for the patient, but of course, what that also translates into is my experience of people then coming to see you independently of the programme. So you come to see me in London, they would come in and their experience of embarrassing bodies is, oh, start of the show, I have X. End of the show, I don't have X. And the pressure is immense, you know, managing the expectations of people. I used to and still do. I find that immense because it's not possible without a team of, I mean, we had buckets of people to do everything and anything.
Yeah. Yes, you're all right. Listen, there's some people making comments whilst you and I are chatting. Somebody's just
not about my hair, I hope.
No, nor mine. Lockdown hair. I had to get rid of that badger look. What was your favourite thing about embarrassing bodies?
My favourite thing was definitely the team and the three of us going to places and having that great camaraderie with the crew and the patients and everything. It was a real team factor for sure.
You're so right. The team behind were amazing, weren't they? They were absolutely
fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah.
I mean, fantastic. Yeah, without a doubt. And we had great fun. And I think, you know, what we delivered was good work.
Yeah, I know a lot of my NHS colleagues would sort of criticise or, you know, say, oh, have you been covering so-and-so because I've got all these patients coming in with it.
I know, yeah.
And I think, well, actually, that's a good thing. And I think as long as we were honest about what was private and what was NHS, that was always my concern, is that if you open the floodgates and suggest to people that they can have all these wonderful treatments on the NHS when they can't, then...
They can't, that's hard.
Yeah, that's not fair on them or good for the NHS. But I think generally they got it pretty right. We were the mouthpieces, but I think they put it together pretty well. We could do it.
I think a lot of the self-checking and, you know, educational pieces, which were fun and entertaining and, you know, a bit sort of sometimes a little bit cheeky, rugby players examining themselves, all the, you know, mass self-examination, that really helped. There's no doubt about people got more and took more from that. Might have been cringeworthy sitting at home watching it with your parents, but actually you took that little bit of information when you were 17 or 18 that it is important to examine the balls if you're a guy. You might have told a pal who told a pal who told a pal, and, you know, I think it definitely made a difference.
Yeah, well, hopefully it still is out in one of those 120 different countries in goodness knows what languages, once you've sorted out your Italian accent.
I know, God. No, I'm concentrating on sorting out my hair. I decided last week to cut Mitch's hair, and then I said, well, you know what, maybe I'll just put a little bit of dye in it. And it was about 9 o'clock or 9:30 at night. And I was like, oh, no, that looks lovely. Oh, yeah, that's fine. And then the following morning, I woke up and I looked at him. And in the light, he's ginger. And he looks like he's got the mange at the back of his head. He's been missing. So, yes, he was very embarrassed. So he won't be coming out for a while.
Even if we get out of lockdown, Mitch is going to stay in.
No, he's going to stay in.
You're not dyeing your own hair then?
I've been trying to, but I can't go. I was going to go yellow, and now I'm somewhere in between yellow and whatever. So I need to, looking at this light, I think I need to go again. I don't know, but I'm trying to look at the length of it. I've never had such long hair.
Well, but actually, no, I think it looks quite. I mean, it looks quite short. I mean, my hair.
No,
I'm going to be sitting on it
really
soon
long.
if I'm not careful.
Look, really long. It's too long. But I'd be scared to cut it. I once cut my fringe when I was about 8 or 9, and it traumatized me. So
I think cutting short hair
is
much more tricky, isn't it?
Oh yeah. But that's what, when I cut Mitch's hair, I was like, I've had short hair for 25 years. I know how a hairdresser cuts short hair. And then I was thinking, do I have actually ever paid attention? It's not that easy. I mean, you know, hands up to all those hairdressers out there. We will be welcoming them back. Delighted.
Oh,
that
July
we
the
can
4th, isn't it?
better.
We're on countdown to July the 4th. If all goes
gosh.
well, I think. Yeah. Bless you.
Oh,
so where's the
fantastic.
family? Where's Darcy and where's your dog? They're downstairs.
So my dog is hiding somewhere out in the garden. Darcy is finishing her little bits and pieces for school, and Mitch is hiding away on some massive conference call.
Oh,
it's funny because it's quite easy to, you know, working from home. You can hide yourself away somewhere and be on a big long conference call or a big long consultation. And if it ends, you might not come out of your room for another little while because you want a bit of peace and quiet. I think there's an element of that goes on here. But all good, all good, all good.
Oh. Well, listen, what have we got here? Goodness me, people watching us from the States. Somebody asked me, oh my word, do you remember we did a charity bike ride in Cambridge? And do you remember I lost my credit card and there was a lady, I think this is the lady, she's just messaged us, a lady called Fiona Christian, she somehow found out, I can't remember the details now, but she found out that I was on this cycle ride and delivered my credit card back to a pub on the route or something like that. It was incredible.
Oh my God.
She sort of picked up my
credit card. She's just messaged
She's just messaged us, yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Lovely to see us both. How cool's that? There you go. That's great.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
Well, listen, honey, I better let you go. But sorry we didn't get Dr. C, but we had a good chat to ourselves.
That's all right. That's all right. He's probably doing his hair.
Well, listen, take care.
You too.
Yeah, and we'll...
Lovely to see you. You look like John Humphreys, a very good-looking version of John Humphreys in that big chair. Very good.
One thing I'm never going to do, honey, is mastermind. Not doing
that. Don't even go there, Dawn. Don't even go there. Don't ever do it. Well, you're far cleverer than I am. I totally made an idiot out of myself.
No,
not my finest moment.
I don't think general knowledge is my strong suit anyway. I think actually I've done my bit for weird shows. Bear Grylls Island was my my nemesis. So that's it. So anyway, listen, thanks ever so much, Pix, and let's catch up properly with a little drink out the other side when we're allowed to.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay safe and well, and lovely to talk to you.
And you.
From your barn.
From my barn.
Bye, guys. Much love. Take care.
Bye-bye. Well, that was the lovely Pixie McKenna. She is my my telly bestie, and I describe her as an overshaken bottle of Irish Lucozade. You perhaps got a little hint of that there, just listening to her chat. She's a super, super girl. So listen, that's it for this afternoon. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've had fun. Until next time, please stay safe and stay well. Bye-bye.